Great, obviously, great. Pleased with everything, pretty much that we just came through. It was a great shot in the arm for this team to go to New Orleans and to perform the way they did, and to win that thing. I think it was just validating. I think it's one thing when you know you have a team capable, when you're on the team and you know you're capable of doing it. It's another thing to actually do it. And when you do it, it should create an increased level of confidence in themselves, where they're not pressing, trying to do it now. And I think, that's one of the hardest parts about, having a championship culture is getting over that hump and winning it, and then being able to maintain that culture. So certainly a step in the right direction. The fans were great. The atmosphere was awesome. We had a quote unquote tailgate up near Champions Plaza or whatever at the Superdome, and gosh, it felt like there was 1,000 people in there when we came through, and that was a big shot in the arm. It was just the energy was right, and you could just feel it, and we were very confident all the way through the whole competition. So I just feel grateful and blessed to coach this group, and so far things are going well.
I can't imagine y'all have ever gone into NCAAs with this high NQS or RQS or whatever. I mean, like you said, you can't play defense, and obviously there's another school is having some good scores as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, really, and yet you said that, and everyone says there's some place you can improve here or there, but you feel like y'all have gotten through a little, maybe I hate to say turn a corner, but with the confidence that comes with performing at a high level. Y'all have had so many great performances all season long. Do you think that maybe y'all are getting in a little different place in terms of mindset? I think
so. I think we are. But you got to temper that kind of conversation with, we don't take anything for granted, But I certainly believe that it helps every time we have that level of success, and that it bolsters our confidence. And when you talk about that meet not being perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect meet. There's no such thing. And if that's going to become our standard, I guess that means we're doing a lot right. But I think certainly we did some things better in the training days leading up, and even in warm-ups than we did. We landed bars better. I mean, we wired every landing, and I went in the locker room going, well, so that might have been too good. Sometimes doing it that well you can try to duplicate something, and that's a little bit of a trap mindset too. But the thing is that we were solid on and just really solid on the first three events, and so they never got really rattled. It was a tight meet from the jump. After rotation 1, we were tied with somebody, and after rotation 2, we were tied with somebody else, and after rotation 3, I think we were tied. No, Kentucky was ahead of us. So. But I think there was that rotation worked well for us, because floor, we know it's not a secret what kind of floor team we are, and I knew that if it was close and we were going to floor at the end, the chances are we were gonna wire that thing and be able to close it out. So it's a great rotation for us for sure.
So with the regional, y'all play on the 4th, and then would it be the 5th or the 6th? Like back-to-back days? Or you have
no, it's not back-to-back days. It's there's a day off in between. Yeah. You have to advance to the second day. You have to be in top 2 in your session to advance to the second day, which would be the round of 16.
So obviously that would be the shortest amount of time between meets y'all have all season. Mm-hmm. I'm sure your team's prepared, but how do you think they're going to be able to deal with going back-to-back in 3 days?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. We do that. We train for that all year long. We do things. We do full inter squads the day before home meets. We do basically meet run-throughs the day before we travel, and there's the 1 day off in between. So we've trained back-to-back days, and we've trained for day off in the middle. So I don't think that's a big deal. Really for us, it shouldn't be. We've been managing our recovery days, which is what those off days in between will look like from a physical perspective in terms of the treatments and the things we do from a maintenance perspective, getting their bodies moving, but just kind of rolling out, getting a good stretch, doing the things we need to do to, and getting a massage and all the stuff that we do all year long. So I think we're prepared for that. We're going to mimic that pattern this week as much as possible. And we'll train Thursday, off Friday, and then go again Saturday, and just kind of mimic that a little bit. Not right down to the fact that we do a full inter squad necessarily, but we're going to keep the group together and try to create good energy and just mimic it as much as we can from a timing perspective.
What are your initial takeaways from your region?
I mean, there's no such thing as really. I mean, with this format, there's no such thing as a easy region or we've got some familiar faces. Obviously, we've seen Arkansas, we've seen Kentucky. I don't know if that provides anybody any advantage. Again, you go back to the conversation. There's no defense, so we know that Kentucky's an extremely capable team and can do great things, and Arkansas will be at home. I think 3 seeds that are at home are always dangerous. They always seem to find a way to get in, and not always, but it's a regular occurrence. You saw that with Denver last year when we were out at Denver, and so it'll be a good environment. But this format that we have now is great for the sport in some ways. It's also tough. I mean, it's almost harder to get to the national semifinal than it is to exist there once you're there. It just is it's tough because we've concentrated everything down to 4 regionals, and so you look around the country, there's 3 or 4 teams in every region that have a legitimate shot of advancing all the way to Fort Worth. So I like it. The travel is easy. It's familiar to us. A lot of the kids on our team have competed. We've never competed in Bud Walton Arena, which is where it'll be this time. We're usually in Barnhill, but as far as the area and the campus, and I don't know if we've gotten hotel assignments or anything like that. So there's familiar. It'll be a good spot for us. We just, again, it's just about us staying on message and focusing on the 5 minutes in front of our face and not getting too far ahead of ourselves.
Coach, you've competed in April before, so this isn't really new to you. But for people like Kai and Connor, is there anything different about this time of year, like the preparation, the day-to-day preparation? Is there something you're telling the players, or is it just about staying the course?
The difference is this time of year, less is more from a physical standpoint. What we want is to come into practice, be very efficient, not have to do an awful lot, because this time of year, every team's got bodies that are hurting and aching, and you feel like you're holding it together with Band-Aids and duct tape sometimes. But so you want to do less physically, but you also want them to complete. When they finish every practice, I want them to feel like they were successful. It should be about building confidence, building that mindset, and creating the good energy in the gym, and pouring into each other as we're in practice. So we'll make some shifts and do some more group-oriented things, but the idea is to kind of ease back a little bit on the physical part and really focus on just keeping them firing between the ears and growing in their confidence. So it's a little bit of a shift, but not an awful lot. You don't want to completely take them out of their pattern physically either. So it's just a little bit of a less is more kind of mentality this time of year. I think the rested teams do better this in April. I think teams with fresh legs generally do better. If you looked at us last year with everything we went through and we got to the finals, you could tell by the time we got into the finals, we looked tired. I mean, we were at the end of the line. We were emptying the tank, and fortunately, right now we're not in that place at the moment. But we're just going to try to manage that.
The girls were kind of saying this is a blank slate. Is that kind of the mindset you're instilling in them headed into regionals?
Yeah, it is a blank slate. The rules are designed as such. It's not like baseball or basketball or softball or other sports where if you're a top seed, you get to host, or you're a top seed and you've earned it all year, you get to decide what rotation you get and everything. It's a bone of contention for me. It always is at our convention that we don't operate that way. We draw things out of a hat, and so we'll start on vault the first day, I guess, and if we advance, then the second day we start on beam. So there's no real advantage to being a 1 seed. The only advantage that exists at this point is if you're a host, because you're on your equipment, you're in your environment. That's where that exists. And so, I'd like to see us go to a different model if we could go to neutral sites, because the parity is so high in our sport right now. If we could go to neutral sites, an east and a west, and run 2 different regionals there, where you got a Thursday, Saturday regional and a Friday, Sunday regional, and mirror that on the other side of the country, I think that would be beneficial. Or do what baseball does, or other sports that if you earn that through your regular season in QS, and if you're able to host, you host. If you're not able, it goes to the next school in terms of that. But that's a conversation for another time, and it's happened over and over and over again. It's hard to get any real groundswell of support for my opinion is not the most popular. I'll just say that.
Talking to Tiffany Daniels with the SEC and
Yeah.
Jay Cicero with the New Orleans Sports Foundation. It sounded like both are very eager for the championships to go back to New Orleans. Did you get any sense of that while you were down there?
Yeah, absolutely.
That, you think you'll be back sooner than later?
Yeah, I don't know what year they're talking about. We're probably looking at least 27 before it would come back, I guess, if we keep doing this sort of 3-city pattern we've been on. I know we've been looking at other towns too, the conference has. I'd like to see us do a 3-year deal with a city, whether that's New Orleans or Orlando or Tampa or Nashville. Doesn't seem to have much of an appetite for it because they already have the basketball tournament, and the Predators would have to give up their arena. But a city like that, a destination city, NBA or NHL type arenas that have all the amenities, have the locker rooms necessary, have the infrastructure in place, and we're showing that we can sell the tickets. If we're in those types of cities where people can go and bring their family for a long weekend and have other things to do. That's why New Orleans is such a great site for it. And so I've made that known to anyone who's asked, and including the Sports Foundation, the SEC. If we could find a way to try that and try to find a semi-permanent spot and see if we can't grow this thing and continue to make it the marquee event of our sport. In many ways, the SEC Championship outshines, the national championship just because of the crowds that we get. And the national championships to this point, hopefully, if we keep plugging away at it in Fort Worth, we're going to be able to market that and fill it up. It's a beautiful arena over there. But right now, the SEC Championship is the gold standard in terms of the environment and the fun of championship experience that those student athletes get. And putting it in a destination city like New Orleans is key to continuing that to grow, and I hope that we can look at trying to do something like that. The basketball tournament's in the same place every year. The SEC football championships played in the same place. They play the same place for the baseball tournament. Then they go to Omaha, same place. There's a reason those sports do that, and the consistency is what grows the exposure and the ability to draw those crowds. And I think we're missing the boat when we bounce around all over the place all the time.
Connor said that Saturday was probably one of the most fun moments she's ever had in her life. Would you say that aspect of fun helps give this team the confidence they need?
There's no question. Olivia Dunn says it in our team meeting. We're at our best when we're having fun. Of course, the flip side of that is we're having fun when we're at our best, right? So it's like, which came first, chicken or the egg, kind of conversation. But I do think when a team is loose and free of mind and fearless and having a good time together, and that's consistent with how they train and how they compete all year long, I do think that's usually an indicator of a team that's in a good mental headspace. You see a team that looks tight on their face, or a team that looks a little too drawn down and a little too. Now you can go the other way, and you can be too amped up and lose focus. So it's a fine line, but I agree that that's an ingredient to our recipe, if we will. We talked earlier about being Chick-fil-A everywhere we go. Well, part of our recipe is having that fun and having that great experience. And Connor, she was sincere in that. You could see it written all over her face. That whole environment, and just the outpouring of support that our fans gave us, that from the tailgate to in the arena, and then once we won it, and the fanfare that went with that. I mean, these are things that are first time experiences for a freshman, that are, and for a lot of people on our team at that level. So it should bolster their confidence. It should be something they begin to crave and want to continue to pursue, and I think we're seeing that. My first pitch was a miserable, epic fail. I got home I got off the bus and went into the gym and set up a little backstop for myself to see if I could get the old rag arm moving again. I hadn't stood on a pitcher's mound since I was in high school. I did, and I was fine. I was doing fine. Like, I was bringing it in at a solid 47 miles an hour or something, and but throwing very accurately at about 60 feet, and went over, and one of the guys came out of the dugout and let me warm up a little bit and just played a little toss with him. Everything's fine, and he comes over, he goes, "You still got it, coach," and that kind of thing. And I get on the mound and I threw a worm burner, man. It was rough. So I hope I'll get a chance to redeem myself at one time. You get one shot to make the show, and you blow it. So I don't know what to say. The team was around me, and I looked at them. I'm like, it's a good thing you guys don't have to depend on me, right? Because I bounced one up there, and Rabelais texted me and let me know that this is the pitch heard round the world. Yeah. Just a bit outside. Yeah, it was gross. I was confident, but you'd be surprised how much that can climb all over you when you hadn't done it. You walk out there and you're like, and I think I just, like, adrenaline, I just tried to throw it too hard, and I slung it 8 feet in front of the plate. It was in a straight line. I mean, I didn't lob it, but it just more like you did. Yeah, I started to do that, but I was like, no, I think I can throw a decent strike, But you get out there and you go, well, 60 feet 6 inches is longer than you think, So just gives everybody perspective. We all can't do each other's sports. Seems easy, right? Throw a ball. Not easy, as it turns out. I hope so. I told Alex, our marketing person, I said, you need to find a spot on there. I need redemption day at some point. I even asked for a walkout song. Like I asked him to play Ozzy Crazy Train because I wanted to take advantage of the whole thing. It's like, there's a little kid still in me that has dreams of doing great things on the diamond. I'm a huge baseball fan, so I grew up a Braves fan, and was a Braves fan in the 70s when Hank Aaron was there, but they were losers most of the time, and it didn't go. My grandfather took me to games all the time, and I've just always loved baseball. For a fan perspective, it's just such a great game. There's a cadence to it, and it makes it social and fun, and it's cool. Yeah. Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. It was built the same time as that Busch Stadium was. They all kind of looked alike, and yeah. Everybody, that was the thing. All these round stadiums that they ended up tearing down, they're all gone. Yeah. Yeah. But I saw Hank Aaron hit one of them that was past 700. I'm not sure which one it was. Yeah. It was during the chase. It wasn't after he passed Babe Ruth, but it was past 700. It wasn't 715. I was very young, and my grandfather would take me to games, and we could get seats for $5, and you could walk down and sit behind the visitor dugout because the Braves were not good in those days. Ralph Garr, a lot of Eddie Matthews was on those teams. He was a good player. So, yeah, just a little reminiscing. Go Braves. Go Bravos.